Welcome again, everyone. I'm going to introduce you our next speaker, Kax. We cannot hear you. Can you unmute?
Of course. I was muted. Hi.
Perfect. I'm really happy that Kax is here. She will help us a little bit with the product mindset, something that we are all missing. Agile coaches is the first one. And we're really happy that you join us today. And we're really good on time. So that's also a quick really thank you to all the other speakers. And now, Kax, I'm going to share your presentation and you can start. All yours.
All right.
There you are.
Fantastic. Okay,
Cool.
super cool. There was a countdown even before this, so that kind of set the mood in the backstage. Yes, there is a backstage. So my name is Kax. I'm a product person. I work with Trust and Transactions here in Central Team and, well, here in Barcelona. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is to share with you how we're using the fundamentals of testing for even the non-feature technical things that we're doing in Trust and Transactions, and share with you how you can use it for your own advantage, so that at the end of the day, you can actually make sure that the things that you're spending your time on, your energy on, and sometimes even money, are actually the things that can provide value to you, to your team, to the organization, and to the people that you are working with. So it started once upon a time, a long time ago, when we were still called marketplace components. I think that was around 2 years ago, before the latest reorg. And in marketplace components, we like to do things, a lot of things that supposedly make our product development process or our collaboration with the teams that we are working with better, supposedly. We created big documents to track the progress of our integrations, spreadsheets, Google Docs, because we thought it would make the projects go faster, the integrations go faster. We created long emails to showcase new insights, features that we've rolled out, or any cool thing that we thought we were doing, because we thought it could create interest in the teams or the marketplaces to know more and would want to do more things with us. We actually even added new meetings to our existing ones, as if we didn't already have a full agenda in the beginning, because we thought it would make communication and alignment clearer for everybody. Did they work? Did they make things actually better? Did they provide any value to anybody? Big important questions. Did we just waste everybody's time? Not just ours, but the people that we were working with too. We never really knew for sure. Up until now, I wouldn't be able to answer those questions about the things that we did in the past. Some of the things that we did died a slow death because in the end, nobody really paid any attention to them. Some we kept doing because we thought they were cool, until we just stopped because it was just taking up too much space in our to-do list. And I can't see you right now, but has this happened to you or your team? And if you can relate, please quietly raise your hand where you are seated at the moment if the answer is yes. And if the answer is no, fantastic. Please share your secrets with the rest of us. In product and tech, where I'm part of, whenever we say the word test, it's mostly within the context of a feature, a button that does X, a click that results to Y. But we never really applied the same approach that we had with testing features to building to testing features to everything else that we were doing that was not development related. But at the end of the day, the question for both is the same, whether it's for a feature to be put in front of users in the marketplaces, or whether it's a step in the process that will be adopted by the people in our team or the people that we were working with. The question is and will always remain, is this providing value? This question even became more important after we became Trust and Transactions. We had a new name, and along with it came a new purpose and a new mission. And our new mission is offering expertise and solutions. And it was actually part of this new mission that we wanted to test. Offering solutions, we already knew how to do that we could do it. But what about offering the expertise part? What does that mean? Could we do it? Should we do it? How were we going to do it? We had so many questions around that part of the mission, offering expertise. But because we are creative people, like everybody else in Adevinta, we already had amazing ideas. Within days of coming up with the idea that we were going to provide expertise, we already had a full portfolio in our heads of said potential services. We were thinking, okay, we're going to help out with discovery and validation, do user testing and research, operational support, data and analysis, etc., etc. It was just really tempting to go out and start doing all of those services with the marketplaces. But the question again and again and again will be, is any of this, or will any of these provide value? And really, the only other way to answer that is to test. But just to provide the other side of the coin, what if we didn't test? What if we just went ahead with the way that we used to do things, which is go all out from the beginning? It's really important to acknowledge the risks of not testing. We risk losing time. We risk wasting time on things that nobody's gonna find useful anyway. We risk losing opportunity on helping out on things that really, really mattered because we were busy doing something else. And we also risk the good collaboration that we already have with the teams that we work with. Imagine working with somebody who just wants to keep complicating things, wanting to add more steps to the process that exists, doesn't really add any value. That could be annoying. But how are we going to test something so intangible as a process? Stripped off of the more complicated things that we usually associate with testing, especially from a technical feature development point of view. To test really just means to know. And to do that, we needed to do three things. We needed to know three things. What are our assumptions about the ideas that we have? How can we disprove these assumptions with a huge caveat of with the least amount of effort possible? And the third is, how are we going to know if we've succeeded, if these assumptions are true? So 3 steps, starting with the first one. What are our assumptions about the idea of offering expertise? Well, we had many. We were making a lot of assumptions about what kind of help the marketplaces needed. For example, the marketplaces needed help in running research, doing user testing, or analyzing data. We were making assumptions about the kind of help that they wanted from us. Even if the marketplaces needed this help, do they need it from us? Would they want us, TNT, Trust and Transactions, to help them out with them? And the third one is also very important. Can we even provide these services, these activities? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the time? Do we have the knowledge? However, with everything else in life, we need to prioritize our assumptions. It's very hard to do all of the assumptions at once. So we needed to prioritize which assumptions were the riskiest, which assumptions did we have not enough information about. Oops, animation is bad. But some assumptions are universal. And if you're going to also look back into your own ideas and you want to know what assumptions you have around them, three most common assumptions usually are that this idea is useful, that this idea is better than every other idea that already exists or is already being used, or that people will not have any negative reaction to the idea that you might have. So if it's hard to identify the assumptions you have around your idea, it's useful to start with these three. So now you know what the assumption, or now we knew what the assumptions we have. So how can we actually disprove or prove these assumptions with the least amount of effort possible? So looking at these two, the marketplaces needed help in running user research, doing testing, and that the marketplaces would want us to help them with these activities, that we really need to start actually doing user testing and research to prove these assumptions, that we really actually need us, ourselves, to start doing these activities with the marketplace. Not at all. We didn't even actually need to lift a finger. All we needed to do was to ask the marketplaces if these assumptions were true. So we set out interviewing the product managers that we were working with to ask them, what do you need help on? How are you doing user research? Do you have the time to do all of your user tests? There were also other ways that we could have done disproving these assumptions. We could have sent out surveys. We could also just maybe pitch the idea during your OKRs planning, or look at existing behavior where the marketplace is asking other marketplaces if they have research or insights to share, where they asking external companies to run user testing and research for them. And none of these things actually required doing the activities, going all out from the very beginning with the idea that we had. So it comes to any of the ideas, whether you have or we have, whatever it is that you're thinking to disprove your assumption, don't do it. Or at the very least, until you're sure that there's nothing else that you can do, that's the easiest, that will require the least effort possible and will still give you the same results. Okay, so now we're done with step one. We know what our assumptions are. We know how we're going to disprove those assumptions, and it's not gonna take us so much energy to do them. The third step would be, how are we going to know if we actually succeeded? AKA, how do we measure success? AKA, what metrics are going to measure? And these are the questions that's very, very popular to ask around. And it's also usually the most complicated step. How do you measure success? To make it easy, the hint that I'm giving is, what behavior will people, your users, your audience, be showing if your assumptions were true? And then count that. And then that's your, how will we measure? How will we know what is the metric for success? So for our assumptions, how many PMs, how many product managers from our interviews do we need to say that they needed help with user testing? That the behavior that we wanted to see was, PMs would be saying, yes, we need help with user testing. And how many do we need them to say that? So if we were interviewing 5 product managers, we needed 3 to say, 3, not 3, 3 to say yes. Why 3? Because we needed to be confident with these numbers. If only 1 out of 5 said yes, is that something we can be confident with? Is that a confident answer? Not so much. 1 out of 5, too small. If 2 out of 5 said yes, still no. 3 out of 5, though, for us felt solid. It was more than half of the group. So another hint is that the more ambitious the targets are, the more confidence it can provide. So 3 out of 5, pretty ambitious. It was already more than half of the group. Great. Good target. 13 out of 15. Sometimes being too ambitious is, well, also very tempting, but sometimes it can be setting yourself up for failure. When we set too impossibly ambitious targets like 13 out of 15 or 14 out of 15, maybe sometimes it's easier to take a step back and see if we actually even like this idea. So all 3 steps done. We prioritized our assumptions. We've figured out how we can disprove or prove the assumptions that we have. Least effort possible. And we actually passed it with flying colors. 3 out of 5 PM said, yes, we need help with testing. We need help with user research. Then what? Was that enough to finally say, yes, we're done? Let's roll out with these expertise services that we're talking about. Actually, no. We ended up back in step 1. Might be frustrating, like, when do you actually pass these tests? When do you actually do this? Well, we went back to step 1 because we still had important assumptions to test. In fact, from the first round of testing, we found new assumptions that we were equally important to test. But how we were disproving our tests, they were evolving. The more we ran these steps over and over again, the more we learned, the more confidence we got, and the more confidence we gained about the services that we wanted to offer, the idea that we had in the first place. And what we were measuring to gain confidence about our idea also kept evolving. We started from, okay, we just want 3 out of 5 PMs to say yes to the idea, to our measure of success evolving to the number of shared key results we have with the marketplaces, the number of user tests we can run for the marketplaces, and many more until we're actually measuring impact that we want to see. Until what really happened was, as we were evolving, as we were running these 3 steps over and over again, we really had to run some services to test them. We started really running these user tests for the marketplaces. We started doing research for the marketplaces. But we didn't do all of them, especially not all at once. And along the way, what happened was that because we were testing, because we were doing these 3 steps over and over again, we also started killing parts of our idea too. Or not really killing, but more like putting them aside and saying, not for now. For example, we learned that user tests were something we could help the marketplaces with, but we couldn't do it for all marketplaces, especially the marketplaces where we didn't speak the language of. So in some instances, the idea that we have got broken down into smaller parts until we pretty much validated the portfolio of services that we have. So before you buy that tool or go all out on that new process that you're thinking of doing next quarter or 2021, or do anything that requires high investment, high effort, time, money, energy, especially if it has high risk, ask yourself, will it provide value? And if you're answering that question based on your opinion because you feel really good about the idea, you might want to test just to double check. What are your assumptions? How can you disprove those assumptions in the least effort possible? How will you know if you have succeeded? And just in case you're tempted to not test anyway because there's always this feeling like it's faster to just go out, do it, go all in. What are you risking? And with that, I leave you a QR code for feedback. And I don't know
Brilliant.
if there are any questions.
Yeah, Kax, you were really, 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 really on time. Congratulations, you nailed it. Let's see if we can have questions from the audience. So, apart from say this, hello, Kax.
Hello, Angels.
Hi, Kax.
Yay, I'm not alone. I was not speaking to avoid.
No, we are not alone, and isolation have felt us alone. I'm really happy to see you here, Kax. I see Ferdaus, Rosario, Simona, everyone here. So let's see if, because with the streaming and so on, let's wait a couple of minutes to see if we get any questions. But it was really, really interesting talk.
Thank you. I'm glad you found it interesting.
Yeah.
Well, also, if there are no questions, that's completely fine. If you think of any questions later on, I'm always on Slack. Apparently, I'm always online, so feel free to just pop in. I'm also happy to hear feedback.
Yeah, there is a lot of feedback. Thank you, Kax. Paco saying it was super interesting. That was a great talk. Well, Kax, thank you very much. And you can contact her anytime, guys, anytime you need. Thank you.
And thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.